just 24 hours after yesterday's showdown here at the People's Democratic Party's Wadata House Secretariat of the party. And as you can see, the party secretariat is now under lock and key, fully barricaded. You cannot have any access into the secretariat. Notice that the Kabiru Tanimu Cherokee-led NWC yesterday had mentioned that they were going to be using this hall for their inaugural meeting. That was moments after they had gained access, of course, to the national chairman's office just yesterday, moments after the FCT minister had left. But that meeting is nowhere in sight as the secretariat is momentarily under lock and key. The camp of the embattled National Secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, insists that they are fully in charge of the secretariat, and the senator insists that himself and the National Organizing Secretary of the party, Umar Bature, must serve out their tenure, which extends or expires on December the 8th, that is next month. What we see currently is a heavy presence of security all over the place. And I must tell you what, this wired barricade is not just for the gates, it's not just for the entrance gate alone. There's also another gate that is a gate that is often used by the chairman of the party, that bits to the other angle, and then this other end of it is also heavily barricaded. So you cannot, enter the PDP today. You cannot. I mean, we don't know for how long this is going to be, but this is what the situation is here at the Wadata House. Just ahead of the big election year, many Nigerians are concerned, about the fact that the party is taking too long. The crisis is taking too long to fix within the party. But from the Wadata House, right here in Abuja, Mary Chinda, Arise News.
Thank you so much, Mary Chinda, from the Wadata House. Joining us to discuss the crisis in the PDP are Rise News analyst Mahmud, Jega, and Liberous Oshoma, a lawyer and rights activist. Gentlemen, glad to have you here in the studio to look at what is playing out. You have watched, what some have described as the theater of the absurd that has played out among PDP members and their leaders. Let me start with you, Mahmud. How would you describe what has transpired within the last 2 days or 3 days up to now that the place is locked up?
Let us not beat about the bush. What has happened in the last 2-3 days is a continuation of the crisis in the PDP that has been on since the end of the 2023 election. And the bottom line of that is that the FCT minister, Wike, is bent on destroying the main opposition PDP, probably to punish it for refusing to nominate him as its presidential candidate in 2023 or even as the presidential running mate, and also to weaken or destroy the opposition party in order to assist President Tinubu and the ruling APC's re-election in 2027. So he has made that very clear that he stands on Tinubu's mandate and he will work for him to get re-elected, which is okay. But this method of sponsoring factions, frivolous court cases, insisting that his ally must be the party national secretary when clearly his spirit is not in the party, and the national executive of the party decides on something, for example, to inform INEC that we are going to have a convention on so-so date, and the national secretary refuses, against the decision of the NEC, to sign that letter in order to create a crisis situation. So it is clear that Mr. Wike is psychologically, politically, ethically, morally out of PDP. That much is clear. The best evidence is that last year, all his supporters in Rivers State, the party executive as well as 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, left PDP and officially declared for APC. They couldn't have done that without his note. Now, instead of leading them in that direction, they went and he stayed behind in order to ruin the PDP before he subsequently abandoned ship and go. So that's why I said no need to beat about the bush. This is the
crux of the matter.
Exactly, the crux of the matter.
All right, laborers, he has raised some issues here. We're hearing, or there is a talk in some quarters, that the Reconciliation Committee of the PDP held a meeting with the Wiki on the way forward. This was before the convention, but no agreement was reached because he's alluded to that PDP presents no candidate for 2027 elections. Wike has now hidden the fact, like he has said, that he's supporting Tinubu for 2027. How does this resonate with you?
Yeah, I would not just start the crisis of PDP from 2023. I would first and foremost blame the past, presidents, under the platform of PDP for abandoning PDP when the party needed them most. You remember the formation of PDP, how the G24, the 34 members, selflessly decided to come together. And some of them are still alive today. But unfortunately, the PDP that gave them the vehicle, after 2015 election, for the first time, PDP that expected that they were going to govern Nigeria for 60 years, suddenly in 2015 found themselves, outside of the water. And that was where the crisis actually started from, if you remember. And you had because at that time it suddenly dawned on them that there was no money to run the party. So they were down looking for financiers. Some person went to mortgage the party to Modu Sharif. And then Atiku had left, pulled the rug off the feet of at the convention because of Goodluck Jonathan. Mind you, Obasanjo had tore his PDP cards. And then you had the ping pong. They quickly ran to Wiki. That was when they made the mistake of mortgaging the future of PDP to Wiki. They didn't understand the kind of person that he would turn out to be. And so you remember the ping pong between the High Court, the Federal High Court in Abuja and the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt. Eventually, McAfee-led faction, survived. And then they put PDP together, and all of them were running back to the same Wiki. Reverse money was spent to finance PDP. And one thing is, Wiki not knowing the was it Dari Babarisa or Dan Agbese once wrote an article knowing when to die. Wiki not knowing when to die, when to let go. You said you wanted Uche Secondus. Uche Secondus came. After some time, you said you no longer want him.
You wanted you out?
No, you wanted you out.
He went out.
Yeah, you went out.
Atiku was your problem.
Atiku was your problem.
Atiku
had gone. Now, Damagu came. You were in hotbed romance with him until now. And all, mind you, Shey Makinde and Bala Mohammed were also his, in the same camp with him.
PDP,
yes, because remember what Dogara said when Bala Mohammed was looking for nomination, how they all went to PDP begging, how they went to Wiki begging him for support and the rest. So now these same people felt, look, enough should be enough. I listened to him saying that that there was a judgment and that the judgment supersedes the ruling. It's an order of court is an order of court. There is in the hierarchy of orders, you can't say there is a judgment and there is a ruling. What the Constitution says is that an order of court.
Let me ask you.
So which one came last? The FCT, the Federal High Court in Abuja, the two orders came. And I was expecting that order from Oyo because knowing what happened during the 2015-2016 fight when Abuja will give order today and then Port Harcourt will give order. I told somebody, I said, I know that there must be something cooking in Oyo to ensure there must be a court order. The way court orders are procured these days, And certainly, if they insist on going ahead with the convention, certainly there's something, you should be expecting something by Friday. And by Friday, a high court in Oyo State gave an order requesting them to go ahead. So whether it was interlocutory, whether it was an order, whether it was it is an order of court.
I will get back to you on this because I want to Mahmud to comment. I'm going to get back to you on that court issue. What's your take on the expulsions and counter expulsions, and where does PDP go from here?
If things continue like this, then the PDP will not be able to sponsor candidates for the next elections. All the stage has been, and that's exactly what the scheming is all about. And you know, things will happen even before that. I have spoken to some party people who said, well, you see, if it looks like the party will not be able to get its act together, then I should better consider my options well before the elections. I'm not going to wait until it is too late. Exactly. So that's the whole purpose. But if you ask me, personally, I'm worried. Recently in Africa, we had terrible elections in Cameroon, in Côte d'Ivoire, in Tanzania. Already, we are sending the impression to the international community that democracy is sliding back seriously in Africa. And if we continue like this, then Nigeria will soon join that league. But the honorable thing to do, if you ask me, is for the president to say, look, Mr. Wike, I thank you for your support. You and your supporters declare for APC. Concentrate all your energy working for APC. Allow the opposition to go and organize themselves. After all, other strategies of APC have worked very well. They have already got half of the PDP governors and senators to defect from their party to APC. I thought that was good enough, but to insist that you must wreck it so that it will not serve as a platform for opposition candidates to stand. No, that will wreck Nigerian democracy.
And that's the danger about democracy. Maybe I'll put this together, maybe if we have time, two of you talk about it. But the convention of any political party is the highest organ-making body of the party. And it was at the convention that the party elected their leaders. Can you speak to that convention and why it stands in law?
Yeah, like I said, it's first and foremost, it's sad and unfortunate that at this day and time, we're still having a ping-pong judgment or court orders, court of coordinate jurisdiction. It shows truly that there's something wrong. But we say that when they are court of coordinate jurisdiction, you pick and choose which one to obey, depending on. But also, in most cases, unlike where the equities are equal, the first in time prevail. But in this case, when there are consisting courts, subsisting court judgment, contrary court judgment, the tendency to obey the last one. So in this case, the last court order was from Oyo State. And so they went ahead. There was a court order that says, go ahead. And they went ahead and they had their convention. But the issues that were raised in the previous court orders also cannot be overlooked, because those issues were the fact that primarily, party congresses must be held before convention can, be held. So there were party congresses at the southeastern state that were not held. So, and then also there was a candidate that was excluded from the process of contesting. And if you remember, that was why Rivers State APC did not get a candidate in the 2019 general election, because of this kind of crisis. And so all of this, you must put, them in proper perspective and reckon with all of them. So I had expected, but before even holding convention at all, they should find a way to reconcile. But there was one element, or one person, one character that cannot be reconciled except he has his way, which is Wiki. And all of this is happening also because it is obvious that the APC do not want opposition in the 2027.
I wish we had more time because I was going to talk about that. What does this portend for democracy and political parties.
But certainly
we don't
sad
have-
because,
we don't-
sorry, with all of this insecurity and all of the crises that we're having now, the government in power need at least an opposition to urge them on, to point them to areas they are not looking at. But this fixation on 2027 and then no opposition will certainly, destroy democracy.
Just a
Yes,
last
I'll take
word
you.
before, just briefly, very briefly.
Well, he has said it very well, that you can't have multi-party democracy, liberal democracy, without opposition. And anybody can see that the ruling APC and the presidency are very happy with what Minister Nyesom Wike is doing, and really sending a terrible message to the international community.
Wrong signals. Thank you so much, our rights news analyst, Mahmud Jega. And of course, my dear friend, Liberals Oshoma. Always glad to have you. Lawyer and rights activist. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.